welcome back to Rev Solutions. If you haven't already, click on that subscribe button, press the bell for your notifications so you're the first to see when we get new content uploaded, and obviously give me a big thumbs up if you like this video, and if you don't, double thumbs down. So today we're looking at the BMW R9T Vintage Edition. Now the R9T comes in at £12,745 and the Vintage Edition colour scheme is an optional extra, and what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below so you can build your own R9T on the BMW website. Also, I'll list the price of the colours at the end of this video. Now this engine has a 1170cc output. Now this bike has got 110 brake horsepower at 7,500 RPM. The torque on this bike is 116 Newton meters at 6,000 RPM, and I'll tell you what, when you open that throttle up, you really can feel this bike pull. It's really addictive, and the shake of the Boxer engine, it just makes you want to open that throttle. You don't even need to go fast, you just need to crank it open a little bit and get the full grunt of this Boxer engine. Now the clutch is a hydraulically operated single disc dry clutch. It's really light, one or two fingers you can pull the clutch in. It's not going to tire your hand out in slow moving traffic, constantly on off the clutch. The levers, they do have the brake off section, so if you do drop this bike and you happen to drop it onto the levers, you will snap the ends before you actually damage, hopefully, any of the other parts of the lever, so that's a bit reassuring to know. However, that said, if you drop this bike, those Boxer engine heads stick out really far, so you probably end up damaging that before you actually damage your levers. Now the gearbox on this bike is a 6-speed transmission, nice and simple like most bikes, 6-speed, 1 down, 5 up. Now the interesting part about the frame makeup of this bike, it's actually in 4 sections. You've got the front section and you've got 3 sections of the rear. Okay, now you can actually take the rear pillion part of this subframe off. There's a couple of bolts here on the other side and a few more, and this whole bar here will remove, and it shortens the bike down to pretty much just the seat. And then you can add a tail tidy, so the back of the bike will stop here and the wheel will be a little bit further out. So if you have no intention of taking the pillion, or you don't want the pillion cover, which personally I think looks really nice, you can just chop it off there, unbolt it, and there you go. You can also get a luggage support system for this bike, which I think can give you up to like 50 litres of BMW luggage, which is really handy. Now the front of the bike has upside down telescopic forks. They're 46mm fixed fork tube diameter, and at the rear you've got a single rear shock.
Right, so this is my initial ride of the BMW R9T Vintage Edition. Let's jump on, let's go for a spin. Oh, that Boxer engine, that is... Let me open my visor and see if you can hear that noise. Amazing. Now this is the first BMW I've ridden Boxer engine that you can actually feel it shaking. All the other Boxers haven't really felt it shake, but this one you definitely can feel it shake. Absolutely amazing. Oh, and that noise as well. Right, so this is the first vintage style bike I've ever ridden. It's really nice. Obviously it's a modern bike. Now the displays are basic. They are a rev counter, a speedo, clock, your miles per gallon, your gear indicator. You can flick between a few things. You've got a voltage reading, 14.6 volts. So there's a few displays on there, nothing amazing, but it's a very, very simple bike. However, that said, what a load of fun this is. The noise it makes, that boxer engine, 1.2 litres, brilliant fun. Now the seat has got a pillion cover on this one, and when you accelerate you can really feel yourself being pushed into that pillion cover. It holds you firmly in place. Now moving this bike about when you're riding is really, really nice. It feels really light.
Now the wheelbase of this bike is 1,487 millimeters. The wheels, they're wire wheels, quite vintage and retro looking. I think they look really, really nice. You'd have to get some good cleaning techniques though to get all those wires cleaned, because that will get fiddly. Now the rim diameter at the front, you've got a 17-inch rim, and at the rear you've got another 17-inch rim. The front tyre runs 120 by 70 ZR, and it's a 17-inch tyre. The rear is a 180 55, again ZR speed rating, and your 17-inch rim diameter. Now the front brakes, you've got twin discs. They're floating discs, and they're 320 millimeters, and they're 4-piston radial brake calipers. They are Brembo brakes at the front, and at the rear you've got a single brake disc, a diameter of 265 millimeters, and it's a double piston floating caliper on that one. When riding this bike, the brakes are really, really good, so BMW have done really well setting up this bike with the braking system. When it comes to braking systems, the bike has ABS. It's the BMW's Motorrad ABS system. The length of this bike is 2,110 millimeters, and the width is 900 millimeters. It doesn't feel that wide when you're on it. It's quite comfortable. I'm sure filtering through traffic would be really, really simple.
Right, so let's go through this bike whilst I'm riding stage by stage. First of all, the indicators. They're on the left stalk. You've got no direction on the actual display of which one's on. It just flashes both, saying that you've got your indicators on. That's just down by your left thumb. Nice and easy to find. Your wing mirrors are actually really good on this. Great visibility. I'm not having to tuck my elbows in whatsoever. I can see absolutely fine. Nice big mirror on there, so you're not having to concentrate when you're looking. Really, really nice. The display, like I was saying, you've got analog speedo and analog rev counter. This just takes a little while just to get used to seeing your speed, but I'm sure after you've ridden this bike for some time you'll know exactly where everything is. This bike does come with heated grips. If I turn them on, you've got two stage heated grips. I'll put them on and see how good they are. That's one thing I do like about BMWs. Even on a vintage retro looking bike with basic controls, they still throw heated grips into the mix for you. So I've literally been riding this bike a few minutes, and I'll tell you what, I absolutely love it. It's just so much fun to ride. It just feels amazing. And when you open that throttle up, you can feel that boxer just kick in, and it's brilliant. Potentially after quite a few miles on this you might get a bit achy, however I think it would take a bit of time for that to happen. Now also on the left, you've got left hand, you've got your ABS button, you've got your menu button which flicks between displays on the right hand side of the dash. What's it like on this corner? Oh, it handles it beautifully. Oh yeah, that pulls. You've got your hazard light and your horn and your headlight flasher. Really, really simple. And on the right hand side, you got your engine start, your engine kill switch, and your heated grips. This bike is so basic, but oh, that boxer engine sounds amazing and it feels epic. What a machine.
Now the height of this bike, including the wind mirrors, comes in at 1,240 millimeters. The seat height, unladen, is 805 millimeters. It's a really nice, comfortable, low seat height. And in a second, I'll jump on it so you can see what it's like with a 5'7" person on. Now the weight of this bike, unladen, but also fully fueled and ready to go, comes in at 222 kilograms. It doesn't feel that heavy. It feels really, really light, especially when you're riding. It just feels ridiculously light, like a sub 190 kilogram bike. Now the max load this bike can take with standard equipment is 208 kilograms. So you are going to be able to put another person on the back of it, but that seat is very, very small. Personally, I wouldn't. I'd leave it. I'd just have this as a single seater bike. It's got an 18 litre fuel tank, of which 3 litres is a reserve, so you know you've got a little bit of fuel left in the bike if you do need to get yourself to a petrol station when that light comes on. And the bike doesn't actually have a fuel gauge, it just comes on and tells you you're running out of fuel.
Right, I can feel those heated grips now, and they are lovely and warm. I'm going to turn them off though, because I don't want the heated grips on yet. The leg position, again, really comfortable. You are slightly back like a sports bike, not massively like a sports bike, but your legs are kicked back ever so slightly, and it actually gives that nice feeling of a bit of a racy style bike, which is quite nice. Now the pickup of this bike, when you open that throttle, it's got 116 Newton meters of torque, and you can feel that really pushing you down the road. It feels amazing. It's quite an addictive feel, to be honest. You can really feel that engine just dragging you down. Now this is an oil cooled engine. I've not ridden an oil cooled engine before, but apparently they're really, really good and they help prolong the life of the engine. So bit of information for you there. Now this bike is very easy to stick at 30 miles an hour. Third gear, just ticking over nicely, 30. Not constantly watching the speed, thinking is it going to overspeed. So it's quite reassuring. You feel like you're on a BMW. It just feels expensive. Oh, suspension. Okay, that's quite stiff. Bit of a dip in the road there for the railway tracks, and yeah, I felt that. Okay, so if you're going to be going off bumpy road, you're not going to have the best of time. You will find it gets a little bit painful. Engine braking, very good. Very good engine braking there. Neutral's easy to find. And now sitting on this bike with my right foot down, my right foot is completely flat-footed. So 5'7", flat-footed, short people, you're not going to have a problem with this. If you're tall, you're definitely going to have no issues. Now this is ticking over 1,000 RPM, and you can feel that engine really shaking. Just it sounds amazing. Nice and easy to start up quick. This engine is addictive. I love the feel of it. I love the sound of it. What a bit of engineering. If I was in the market for a small bike, I think this would be it. I have not had a smile put on my face like this when riding the motorbike. I highly recommend that you get out, you go to BMW and you take one out for a test ride. It's just that boxer engine and the torque it's got, it is so addictive. So with the indicators, they are you don't really feel like you've pressed the button. Now, I have found this on a lot of BMWs. Sometimes I have to double check. There's no reassuring like clunk that you've pressed it.
Okay, so starting at the rear of the bike, you've got a nice LED rear tail light, which does look quite nice. You've got your indicators, which just all bog standard stuff, nothing fancy. The tail does look quite nice. It comes out, it's all matte black. You can obviously get a tail tidy for this one, just to shorten it. You've got the pillion seat cover with a nice vintage race 21 on the back. That looks really nice, I love it. This side hasn't got anything at all written on the side, but on the near side you've got NineT written on the back, which just gives it a little bit of detailing, which looks really nice. Come to the exhaust system, you got a twin exit exhaust. It looks amazing, it really does look vintage. You got the nice muffler stuck in the end of the exhaust, riveted in. It just really sets this bike off. Down the pipe you've also got your electronic valve, which opens and closes to reduce the amount of noise and airflow coming out, so that's also something which is good for when it's quiet. Moving forward, you've got a nice seat on this bike. It's comfortable. It's quite a firm seat, but it's not giving me any issues whatsoever. It is a nice seat. Come to the tank of this bike, you've got a nice brushed aluminium section which breaks up the paintwork really well. And obviously the vintage styling of this bike, you've got the nice big race 21, you've got the BMW logo, and you've also got a bit of like wear and tear shown over the 21, which initially when I saw it I did think, is this where people put their knees and they've worn it out? But it's actually part of the design, which when you understand that, it does actually look really good. Obviously you've got the big boxer engine, cylinder head sticking out nice and wide on this bike. I love it. The more I'm riding BMWs, the more I'm finding that cylinder head that is dominant just really sets the bike off. You know you're on a BMW at that point. The near side controls, they're really basic. There's nothing fancy about those whatsoever. You've got your menu up and down. If you use the up button, it changes the menu display on the left system on the display, and if you change by using the down button on the menu, it changes your right hand display. You've got your ABS button, which you can turn on or off. I personally leave it on because this kicks in all the time when I open the throttle up. Your indicators, your horn. You also got your hazard switch, and you've got your headlight flasher. Now to turn the headlight to high beam and low beam, you actually push the lever forward, pull it back, goes to normal, and push it back, brings it on the flash.
Let's go out this way. And the downshift again, that's really nice. Okay, so we're rolling into National now, 20 miles an hour, 60. And you really could feel that front end go light just from the acceleration itself. So 60 miles an hour on the dot, 6th gear, about 3,400 RPM, nice and comfortable, doesn't feel like it's stressing. The wind in your chest, you can definitely feel that. It's not uncomfortable, but you can feel that you're getting pushed in the chest a little bit. I have been told that you can get a windscreen for this bike, but I think that might ruin the front end. It might ruin the look of the retro, so I think I would just put up with it. But let's face it, if you've bought this bike, you're not buying it to go fast, you're buying it for the looks and that low range torque. That is so fun. You're probably bored of me saying that now, but what a brilliant bike. The more I ride these BMWs, the more I fall in love with them. They're amazing. And this is why I've driven BMWs for so many years, because the engineering you get on a BMW, you just can't match it. Second gear, cruising under 30, you can hear that popping of that good old boxer. Sounds phenomenal. It's so light and nimble just to go around corners. it feels when you're riding it like a little 125, just like the sides of it and the lightness. That's addictive. Now it doesn't have a fuel gauge. That is one thing which is a bit of a letdown. Apparently when the fuel light comes on, you got about 3 litres of reserve fuel. So that is one thing you need to keep an eye on. This bike revs up to 10,000 RPM. The red line starts at 8,500. So you've got a good amount of revs there, but all the fun, all that torque and power is down in the low rev range. You don't need to be going that high, and when you do, the traction control comes on anyway, so yeah.
The wind mirrors are pretty good, nice and comfortable. You've got your fork adjustments at the top of the headstock. They are really nice. You've got a red on the near side and yellow on the off side. Really nice. And you've got the positioning of the actual marker, so you can see what you've adjusted it to. Coming to the front of the bike, you've got a nice big BMW single headlight, and for a retro bike this looks fantastic. It's got the BMW logo in the middle. I love it. It really sets this bike off. You got the front hugger over the front wheel, and you got your nice silver side steps down, locking it into the front suspension. The brakes, Brembo brakes at the front, and you got your nice gold telescopic forks coming down to meet your braking system. Now, the exhaust system on this bike, it looks the business. Nice shiny chrome pipes, both interlinking to each other. They come down the outside of the bike, all exposed. It really does give you a sense of they're here, they're shiny, they're expensive, look at us. Now this is another thing I like. You've got this section here is actually the air intake for the bike. You've got a nice scoop coming straight down behind the offside indicator with a nice funnel straight up and into the engine for your air intake. That looks amazing. And it's obviously got NineT written on the side of that air intake. Let's come around to this section of the bike. You obviously got your shaft drive system down here, BMW's own braking system at the rear, and your pillion pegs, which, like I said earlier, you can actually remove this whole section, get rid of it, and it shortens the bike down quite nicely. If I had this bike, I'd be torn about doing that, because I do like this little hump here, and it does push you on the bike when you accelerate, so I'd be quite reserved about taking that whole section off. Now, the height of this bike when I'm sitting on it, I'm nice and flat footed on both legs. It is a low bike. I'm not having any issues with it whatsoever. With my feet on the pegs, obviously just the right one. Again, it's a really comfortable riding position. Got no problem riding this for a long distance. Good couple of hours, jump off, freshen up, off you go again. Also at the front of the bike, you've got the steering damper, which sticks out to the offside, which is quite a nice little feature. As you look down when you're riding it, you can see it just sticking out to the side, and that's obviously going to give you steering a little bit less free play. So yeah, nice little feature that this is on the bike straight away from factory.
I can imagine this bike is very, very comfortable to filter with. It's very narrow. It's nice, short and compact as well. It just feels like a little baby bike that packs a real punch when you want it to. It does have BMW's integrated ABS system on this, so if you do end up getting into a bit of bother, you've got your ABS to keep you safe, or put you into more trouble. It depends if you're a fan of ABS on motorbikes. I've not had a bike with ABS that I've had kick in, so I'm if you are, leave a comment in the description below and tell me what you think of ABS, because it would be good to hear some experiences and see what people think of it. Comfortable power, just cruise past people, no dramas whatsoever. Now the vibration through this bike, it does vibrate ever so slightly, but so far I haven't got like an achy hand. I've got to shake it out, get the feeling back, get rid of the pins and needles, so that's quite nice. But you can feel it vibrating, that boxer engine. Nice and easy, slow manoeuvres. Looks fantastic in the windows. Yeah, brilliant bike. Now we might actually be able to try a bit of filter in here, because Midhurst is normally quite busy with traffic. Now the seating position is really good. I can see comfortably over the cars in front of me, see what's coming up. I just can't get over how smooth and comfortable this is to ride. It's absolutely fantastic. I genuinely would buy one of these if I had the money. Money was no option. I'd be walking straight back to BMW. Well, no I wouldn't. I'd be riding back to BMW and saying I want this bike. This would put a smile on my face every time I rode it. Now if I had this bike in the Black Forest in Germany, I think I'd move to Germany. This would be just the best bike to ride on the Black Forest. I rode that pretty much this time last year and it was an amazing road, and to have the ability of riding this on those roads, I think I'd end up riding it every day. It would just be so much fun. They're proper long twisty roads, you can really get stuck into it.
Thank you for watching this video of the BMW R9T. If you haven't already, click on that subscribe button, hit the bell for our notifications so you can be informed when we upload new videos. All the motorbike reviews are going to be coming out every Friday at 8 AM, so it gives you the whole weekend to get your grips around it, get into it and start having a good look at what we're producing. If you've got any questions about this bike, just leave a comment in the description below. So until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe and we'll see you soon.